welcome to Gaga Knits. My name's Anita and I live in South Wales in the UK, and you can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as Anita Bold, and show notes can be found in the description box below. I know this video is a little bit early. I did say that I would do a video on the second Tuesday of every month, but I have got so many finished objects that I felt I needed to do a video this week just to get them all out of the way. I've got so many finished objects that I actually do not have any works in progress apart from the cross stitch blanket that I know is a long-term project, and my little crochet granny stripe blanket, which is another long-term project. But all the normal things I've done. I've finished everything. And the main reason for that, I think, is the news. Every time the news is bad, which is every day, I just set about crafting to take my mind off it, and I'm just ploughing through everything. But I do feel a little bit burned out now, and not that I don't want to craft anymore, but I just need to calm down a bit. I'm going to cast on my sister-in-law's shawl, and I think I'll just work on that quietly and get that done, maybe a few little things in between. But anyway, first of all, apologies for my voice. I have got another cold. Can't believe it. Got this one off Josh, and I've taken some tablets for it, and I've got a drink of squash here and a tissue if I need to, so I might have to stop to have a cough or something, but hopefully I should be fine. In fact, I think I'll have a quick sip of my squash before I get started. It is a grey day here in Wales, and it's been raining. I've already taken Charlie out, but I'm just looking out my window and the sun keeps coming out and going in. And our neighbour is doing work on his house. He's totally remodelling a house, and I think he's drilling outside on and off, so hopefully it won't be too bad. I have finished objects in sewing, knitting, crochet, cross stitch, embroidery, which is a new one for me, and then I've got some acquisitions, which is another lovely parcel from my sister-in-law. Came in the last few weeks, so I've got those things to show you. I've already made something out of some of the contents, and I've got plans for others, as a very nice friend on Instagram sent me a pattern for a crocheted snowman, and I think I might use some of the yarn that my sister-in-law sent to do that, so I'll show you that later as well. Right, let's start. Well, before we start with sewing, I just wanted to show you my Mount Pleasant tee. Last time I just had to finish the one sleeve little cuff off, and I finished it now. I don't really understand blocking that well, so I didn't really so much as block it. I've got tracksuit bottoms. Who's this? I just wanted to wear it to show you. So I've just pinned out ever so slightly the lace work to make that look nicer. But I think when it's with a nice dress or a high-waisted skirt or something like that, it's going to look quite nice. Although I do feel that this kind of top, maybe it would have been better if the cuff was here, like a proper tank top, rather than these funny little sleeves. And I have bought some green fabric to make a green top to go underneath rather than this black one, but it's quite cold today, so I wanted to make sure I had something minus the hair. Oh, by the way, thank you to everyone who gave me nice comments about my haircut, my do-it-myself haircut this week. I was watching a previous episode of Paula's from Stitch by Mrs. D's podcast, where she said, if you put your hair in a ponytail and snip it off, it should fall down into a bob. And I thought I'd try it because my hair was getting on my nerves, and it seems to have worked. So I was a bit scared. I got halfway through sort of snipping through my ponytail thinking, what have I done? But I did it on Saturday because I thought if it was really awful, I could perhaps book an emergency appointment in a hairdresser today, but it seemed to work quite well, so I might do this all the time. Saved me loads of money, which I could then spend on more yarn and fabric. Right, let's get started first with sewing. I have finished Josh's shorts and Jack's joggers. If you remember last time, I was having terrible trouble with my overlocker, and I'd looked on YouTube and watched a video on how to take your overlocker apart and give it a clean, which I did, and it wasn't as drastic as it sounded. You just had to take the foot plate off and a few little bits and just sweep it out, and I just had the tiniest bit of fluff from inside, and I thought that's not going to make any difference at all. Put it all back together and it works fine. So that's all it was. All that time I spent trying to adjust the tension and everything, it just needed a clean. And I will be making sure I do that more often, because it doesn't take long. You just take the needles out, take the foot plate thing out and open it up and give it a sweep out. So anyway, the shorts. So I use this pattern, the Simplicity 8705, and I just did the shorts here, these, and they do have a little split, but I'm not putting a split in. And I did the size small, and here they are. I did a few adjustments. They've got really nice big pockets, and he has worn them to work already, so I've nabbed them and washed them and ironed them. And I have said to Josh, when he goes to work this week, don't expect, well, I said when he goes to work this week, he will have nicely ironed shorts, but don't expect that every week for work. It's just because I wanted to show you on the podcast that he'd already worn them, so I thought I'd better show them quick before they get too ruined. So the only adjustments I made is I didn't do the split like I said, and they did say to put holes in to put a draw cord, and I did interface the space ready for holes, but the draw cord was just for show, and you just sort of threaded it through this little bit, so I didn't see the point of making holes in the fabric and everything, so I just left it like this. And I have noticed, although I did use nice thick elastic, that when I washed them, it did twist slightly. So I'm thinking I might have to do another row of stitches. I did that for Harry's trousers, and I was thinking that might make them not look so nice. But I have here the old pair of Josh's work shorts that, and so these are shop bought, and you can see here they do actually put 2 rows of stitching on the elastic, and it doesn't look so bad. So I thought, well, I'll do that, and then they won't twist round. I was originally thinking just to put some stitches down these little bits where all the joins are, but I'm thinking maybe all the way around would be better. So I'll have to decide which one to do. And then my favourite are Jack's little joggers. Now I want to send these off to him, so there's another reason why I had to do the podcast today. And also some of the knitting projects are for a friend from work who was due to have a baby, and she's had the baby now, and I really need to get that little blanket off to her, so I needed to show it today. But anyway, these are made by Beam Patterns, the kids joggers, and I did the age 2 to 3, although Jack is only going to be 2 in November, but that was the smallest size. And because they were a little bit older than his age, where you're meant to put a cuff on the bottom, I haven't, because that would add a few inches, so I've just hemmed it. And the waist is meant to be the same fabric as that, but I had some ribbing, and I've made him a pair of joggers before with nice thick ribbing, and I think this is nicer around their tummy, but I don't think I cut it small enough, because I cut it the same as what I should have done if I used this fabric, and I think it was a bit loose, so I have just threaded some elastic through the ribbing, so that's firmed it up a bit, and they've got these lovely little pockets. I just think they're so cute. So I can send those off to him now, and he does look sweet. in the things that I make for him, as does Harry. Obviously, I'm biased because they're my grandsons and I love them dearly, and I haven't seen them for ages, but we do WhatsApp, and we WhatsApp video, and I don't know if I've told you before, but Harry and we WhatsApp video and I read him a story. I've got the book and then I turn the phone around so he can see the words. We haven't done that for a little while. Last night he read his school book to me in the same sort of way, so that was nice. So even though I'm not with him, we do have some quality time, just not together in person. So they were my sewing finished objects. Crochet. Now I have to say I have struggled with this crochet a little bit because I'm trying to make some projects out of the Beetles, Bugs and Butterflies book, and it is a lovely book, lovely illustrations, and it's got a story about the butterflies in the beginning that I still haven't read to my grandsons yet, but I will do. And there are lots of explanations on how to do the different parts of the butterflies and things, but then there are some parts that they must just assume that you know what to do, and they're the bits I get stuck on. But anyway, I have made a butterfly, and here he is. Now I've used DK and just acrylic, and they say to use cotton 4-ply, I think, and so he's quite big, but it's for Jack, and I think he will he likes his cuddlies, and then I think it's nicer because he can hold him, and you can take this bit off his wings, and then he's back to a caterpillar, and you can also take his hat off. He looks very strange like that, but the difficulty I had was you crochet the head and then you had to slip stitch on stitches to start the body. Well, I've only ever done them where I would have done the body separate and sewn it on. And it actually is better because it's much firmer, but I wasn't quite sure how to do that. And I went onto YouTube like I always do when I'm stuck, and I couldn't find anyone who'd actually done a tutorial on it. So I had to use my own brain, work out how to do it. So it seemed to work. And then I decided to do my own colours because I'm a bit of a nerd. And we've got this book here, Butterflies book, and it was second hand. I think when we were in Carew, when I told you about the Carew car boot, and there's bookstall, and I think we got it there because there's a little, it says it belongs to somebody else. Don't know if you can see that. I try not to put things too near the camera because that's my camera zooming in and out. It's annoying. But anyway, I was looking for colours for native butterflies, and there's this one here, which is the large blue, and I just found it interesting because this book is full of butterflies and where they live and where their larva lives, and it was quite, well, I wouldn't say, well, it is interesting, but I just thought there's someone has had to study all these butterflies, and it is quite fascinating. And I'll just read you this bit because I thought how wonderful nature is. Now, this large blue is now extinct. It became extinct in Britain in 1979, and they were hoping to reintroduce it to the West Country. Now, this book is really old. This, I think it was 1989 it was published. Really old, 31 years. I'm saying that because that's my daughter's 31. She was born in 1989. And so they were extinct, these butterflies, and they were hoping to reintroduce them. And it says here, the female butterflies laid their eggs on thyme plants, and after the caterpillars hatched, they were carried off by ants. In the ant's nest, the caterpillars ate ant grubs in return for allowing the ants to milk them of a sweet bodily secretion. Very strange, but that's nature working with itself. So I think the wild thyme was being cleared and cut down, which made the butterfly population die back, and then also the ants, I don't know, they lived off each other and sadly became extinct. So a little bit of butterfly. What's the study of butterflies? But anyway, a little bit of pointless information, but I felt it was interesting. So I've based mine on a large blue. So Jack can have that now as well as his trousers. Now my friend in work has had her baby, a whopping baby, £10 something. So she had to have an emergency cesarean because the baby was getting so big. So that's why I need to send this blanket off to her. So she came into work a few weeks ago because most people are working from home. And I gave her a little hat that I'd made, a little baby hat. She was so pleased with it because some people don't like handmade things, do they? And she's quite young and I didn't know, but she was so pleased. And I said, look, if you want me to make you something else, I'm more than happy to. And she said she'd like a little baby blanket, a blue one, because she was having a boy. And so I thought I'd try and think of something a little bit different. And on Ravelry, there was a pattern, a crocheted pattern for a baby cocoon. And I thought, well, I'll have a go at that. So I used yarn I already had. And I thought a denim one would be quite nice, a bit more modern. And you had to do a long piece. Well, I'll undo the buttons and I'll show you. So you crochet this long piece, and it's free pattern. Did I say it was free? And then after you've done to the length that the lady says, you have to do the border, and you have to join the top two corners to make the hood, and then you do the border around. Well, I liked the ripple stitch. I think it's called ripple stitch that I had to do all the way along, and it was perfectly well explained. But when it came to the border, because it was a free pattern, I think it's more she just sort of has written down what she did. So she just said, oh, I crocheted around the border for so many rounds to accommodate the buttons. But I think I should have added a few extra stitches in the corners, because I just went around the corners and they're a little bit rounded. And also I just skipped or crocheted, an extra crochet chain to make the buttonholes. And I feel you can't really see where the buttonholes are. I mean, you can see when, and I didn't know how to make them stand out a bit. I thought if I embroidered around them so you could see where the hole was, it might make the hole a bit too small. And if you've got a wriggly little baby and you're trying to get them in there and then do the buttons up, I was a bit concerned about that. And also this yarn is quite scratchy. It's the Mariner Aran weight from Shaw's. They get those huge 500 or 600 gram balls. Someone had given it to me years ago, and I thought it might soften when I wash it. And then also I did consider lining it, but in the end I decided I wouldn't give her this one because it was a bit itchy, and I did worry about the buttons, the buttonholes. So I made her another one, a knitted one. And that is where I used the yarn from my sister-in-law to make that. I can show you that next. So that was my crochet, and I will wash it and see if it softens up, and if it doesn't, I'll line it, and I'll also try and work out what to do with the little buttonholes, because there'll always be extra babies coming along. And actually Jodie's asked me to do some baby socks for her friend whose baby's due in December, and she's having a boy, so I might have it ready for her. And I'll show you those socks as well in a minute. So the blanket, the yarn I used, where shall I get that? Out of the stash that Janine gave me, and I will show you the rest later. She gave me 2 balls of this yarn here, and this one hasn't been used at all because I've used the button band, the ball band, because it had a pattern on the back. And the one that I used to make the blanket had already been started, but I have made a blanket and I've got this much left. And I'll show you that now. There's the pattern. So this is the baby blanket I made for her. Oops. It kind of reminds me a little bit of camouflage, but blues. And it's lovely and soft. And the yarn is a bit like pipe. It's sort of the same thickness as a pipe cleaner. And if it was stiff, it would be a pipe cleaner. But it's all soft and lovely. And I think it's just 100% acrylic. There it is. Bernat. Yarnspirations Bernat baby blanket. There. Now, on the back, you have instructions for a crocheted blanket or a knitted blanket, and it's corner to corner. So I thought I'd do the crochet, and I tried for a little while and I struggled with it because the yarn is so thick. I couldn't tell really where my crochet stitches were, and I'm not brilliant at crochet. And I have trouble with stitches. My stitch count's always out, and I just couldn't do it. I knew I'd get into a terrible mess, and I'd just waste loads of time. So then I decided to do the knitted version, and the knitted version was also corner to corner, but it was moss stitch. Now I do like the look of moss stitch, but because this is so busy and it's so thick, I just thought it just looked untidy. So I decided just to use the pattern to do the increases, and I just knit and purl basically, and then I just did this huge square, and then so you've just got these little holes on the side for the increases and the yarn overs, which I quite like. And even if she just uses it for the baby on the floor, it's nice and thick and warm, so hopefully she'll like that. And I had to use very big needles. It did say to use corded needles. What do we call those? It's my cold, it's making me forget. I had to use straight needles anyway because I didn't have circular needles. That's right, I didn't have circular needles in the size that you needed, which was US size 11, 8mm. Look at those. And it was really hard work on my hands because they're just so thick to hold, and the yarn was thick to hold, so I was sort of doing it like Anyway, I finished it. She can have it. I can send it off to her tomorrow and when I go to work with a card I've got for her. And really I should have made her some baby clothes, but if I had, they probably wouldn't have fitted because her baby, like I say, was over 10 pounds. So I'm just putting my top down. And then I made my friend from Craft Club, who's also having a baby. She's having a little girl. And I have made her a few things already that I've shown. But I've made her a pair of the little baby socks, which is, I say is my favourite baby sock pattern because it's the only one I've used, but it works and I love it. And I think it's by Kate Atherley. And I always use 2.5 DPNs to make these in 4-ply. And this is the Popsicle yarn that I was telling you about last time that I had so much trouble with. Just thinking, where can I put them so you can see them? There they are. And I've made this pattern loads of times and I don't know why, but I went completely wrong. And when you turn for the heel and then you start knitting down the foot because they're top down, I misread the pattern and I measured from where I turn the heel to there 2.75 inches. So I had this really long sock, but it was meant to have been from the back. So I put in a lifeline that I've learnt to do, and ripped them back and then made them smaller so they look cuter. And then Jodie's friend, like I say, is expecting a baby in December, and I've also made her a little pair. They're really hard to show. And she wanted grey or navy blue, so I had some navy blue, but I had the tiniest amount, and I made them slightly shorter than the pattern says, just to make sure I had enough yarn. But I have seen the socks I made for my friend's little girl. She sent me photos, and they are a little bit long on the end, so I think these will fit fine. And this is also a little bit scratchy, the yarn. I'm not sure what it is, because I just bought it for contrast heels and toes, but because Jodie's friend wanted grey or navy, it's the only navy I had. So I'm hoping if I wash those in some wool wash, that they'll soften and also smell nice. So I hope so anyway. I wouldn't want baby's little feet or legs to be irritated by my socks. So they're all my sock finished objects, but they are tiny, don't take long. Right, so that's my socks. I've got a list. I'm going to be in order this time. My cross stitch. Right, I have a finished object. I finished cross stitch. I've been doing this for ages and it's all gone completely wrong. And it was the Nag Nag Nag. It was a kit. I bought this ages ago. I think I bought it when we went to St Fagans, the Welsh Folk Museum. And I was going to send it to my sister-in-law because she really likes cross stitch. And in the end I didn't, and I had to go myself. But I found it really difficult to follow the chart, and I've done so many mistakes I wouldn't even know where to begin. But it's finished. It looks a bit odd. I think my house here in the background and the hill behind me looks a bit like a helicopter. But I'm going to put it in a frame and it's done. You can't. And I think the age of fabric was really small, the squares. But anyway, I finished it, and it was annoying me when I knew I hadn't finished it, even though I know it, because I'd gone wrong so many times. The wall, there's a wall here. It's meant to go all the way along. Mine ends. Not much of a, I wouldn't keep those horses out. But there we are, never mind. That's done. But my cross stitch that I am enjoying is the blanket that I'm doing for Harry and Jack. I have done little tacking stitches all the way around the edge because this is fraying like mad. I don't know if that's the right thing to do, because I will be putting a backing on it and making it into a proper, not a quilt as such, but you know, a proper blanket with a backing. So last time I showed you, I had done Harry. Let's take that thread. So I had done Harry, and I was just finishing off Jack last time, but I finished his now, Jack. Don't know if that's straight for you to see. Then I wanted to do the rainbow in 2020. I did try and make the cross stitches over 2 stitches, but it didn't fit, so I had to go back to the 1 stitch. But there, I've done the rainbow in 2020 in the other corner. And I was planning just to do 1 square a month, but I was enjoying myself so much that I have done my other corner, which is made by Gaga, and I could go over 2 stitches to do that, so that was bigger. So I'm really pleased with that. Now I need to move on to either start doing the alphabet or maybe some of the picture squares. The letters I found did take a long time, and I got stuck on the Y because I couldn't do half stitches on this fabric. But the alphabet I'm going to do is going to be different to the alphabet I used in their names, so it might be a little bit easier. So that's cross stitch. Oh, my hair's going a bit funny. And then embroidery. I have been enjoying stitching on, hand stitching on things. Like I say, when I've been feeling a bit overwhelmed with the news and everything like that, I found hand stitching quite therapeutic. And last year I had a subscription for CraftPod, and it's a quarterly subscription, and so I did a year's worth. I had 4, and this was last autumn's, and it's the pumpkins and mushrooms and tomatoes and things, and I love the autumn colours, and this will go really nicely in my living room, but it's so small I'm not going to be able to put it on the wall, just this on its own. I'm going to have to put it with other things. So I will, and I think I need to keep it on the hoop, but I need to sort of neaten it around the back. And there's the back. I did try and keep it reasonably neat. I really, really enjoyed this, and the instructions in there are very good for me, because I do struggle sometimes with just written instructions without being shown how to do things, but I really enjoyed it. It was designed to go on a shopping bag. You get a sort of tote bag of this fabric, but I didn't want to put it on there because I thought I'd ruin that, because it would get snagged and things, wouldn't it? And they did give you this fabric so that you could put it on here if you wanted to. And there was loads of other autumnal things in there. So I've only made a few projects out of the craft pods. I made the key ring of, I think it was the spring one, for my friend's birthday when we were in lockdown. But I'm going to dig through and do some of the other projects, because I just loved working on that, and I'm so pleased. And now embroidery is my new thing I enjoy doing. So that's that. So that's all my finished projects, all done, all ready, clean slate ready to start some new things. And all I've got left to show you is the pattern that my lovely friend Mariangela sent me. So thank you very much, Mariangela, for the pattern, which is this one. It's a snowman and a tree. And she sent me a lovely card as well to tell me what she's been up to, and she's making things for her grandchildren. She's got a grandchild lives in America. She's putting a bundle together. And if you follow Mariangela on Instagram, you'll know she's always making things so beautiful. She just churns them out. I don't know how she does it, and they're lovely, always wonderful. So I've decanted the yarn and everything that my sister-in-law sent me in a box into a bag. And obviously you saw this yarn, which was the first, because I've already used that, the Bernat one. And she's also sent me, this is really soft too, and this is Lion Brand Yarns, Springfield Silver. It's really, really thick. It says super bulky, and I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 of those. So I'll have to think what I'm going to use those for. I've got a ball here, I think it's just acrylic DK, sort of grey and white. And I've got this here. She's put lots of things in bags, very good. But this is the yarn, and it's sort of a crinkly acrylic sort of baby yarn. Let's get this one out and have a look. And I thought I might make the snowman. Oh my goodness. This bag is designed not to be opened. Oh, I've taken out in the bands. And this is another Bernat, Baby Coordinates. Oh, there's a free pattern on the label for that as well, for a blanket. And what is it? It's white, machine washable, acrylic. That's all it says. So anyway, that should be enough to make the snowman, because it's got a slight sort of sheen through it, so I thought that might look quite nice. And then she's give, oh, and I have another ball of that as well. And then something similar in the blue. I'm not going to be able to get these out now either, am I? Oh, it's not so bad. And also comes with a free pattern, so I might have enough. You need 4 balls to make the blanket, but if I've got 2 of the blue and 2 of the white, I could perhaps make another baby blanket with that. I have got some, oh, it's better, look, zip bag. This is Isaac Mizrahi Craft Premier Yarns, all in the pinks, and it's lightweight 3. That's American, isn't it? I don't know. Well, possibly DK. I'll look it up and then I can always put it underneath what that is. And she sent me some more cross stitch patterns. So that's kits. They've got the threads in and the Ada fabric and the pattern. The instructions, that's the word I was looking for. Another hoop. And oh, another cross stitch kit. A Christmassy one, so that would be nice. Ooh, I think it's a card and it comes with the door. I like that. I'll put it on the wall. And a little notions pouch, like a little felt one. That's quite sweet. And then this fabric, which is really stiff and to me is like a rug, but it's fabric, so I have no idea what she had this for. But I think I might just overlock the edges and use it as a rug. So that's all my, well, not purchases, acquisitions and their gifts. So that was really nice to have that box. So thank you again, Janine, for another one. Well, this has got to have been the longest video ever. My videos never usually go over 30, and this says 37. Well, hopefully everything will be okay, and I should be able to get on with some new projects. So anyway, that's me over and done for another month. Hopefully it will be the second Tuesday next month, but it's the first Tuesday this month, so I can get these gifts off for the babies and things. So take care and stay safe. I hope you're coping okay with all the restrictions. It is tough on us all, but hopefully we'll get through it. See you soon. Bye for now.